Yes, good morning and welcome. You're still watching Power Breakfast right here on Citizen TV, and even before we link up with Willis Raburu and Joy Murengi all the way in Siaya, here in studio, we will take a look at the headlines. And this morning we're privileged to have Albert Kuchei, Speaker of the County Assembly of Elgeyo Marakwet. Good morning. Good morning. Next to him, Vincent Kimosop, a policy analyst.
Morning.
And Peter Kaluma, MP for Homa Bay County, or Homa Bay constituency. Homa Bay County constituency. Yes. There is an MP for Homa Bay County, though.
Yes.
Yes. Gladys Wanga.
Honorable Gladys Wanga.
Yes.
She is the woman representative.
And that's the MP for Homa Bay County.
We have, let's quote the constitution.
MPs are two.
She is the woman representative of that county. I don't know why women representatives are not happy to use the title woman representative.
But yet, she is a member of parliament, so she has MP.
Yes.
So she is MP, ideally, for Homa Bay
County, together with the
senator,
yes,
who's also a member of National Homa Bay County.
Well, please invite us for another session. On this issue.
All right.
Because they should not be afraid to use the title.
No, they don't like it. I don't know why they think women rep is demeaning. Because they are saying their scope of representation is beyond women. So they are saying they are representing everybody.
But now that you're on that, between the position of women representative and the position of senator, which one is more attractive? Because I see more candidates now going for women representative seats, while most seating senators are fleeing that upper house and they're seeking other jobs. Governors, some even want to become MCAs.
Of course, functionally, members of parliament in the National Assembly have more power, they have more functions, they have more, yes, unlike the members of parliament in the Senate. In terms of, the functions in the Constitution, if you look at Article 95 against Article 96, that's why we say the Senate is the resting house, retirement home.
And so it's actually proving true because everyone is fleeing the Senate.
Again, in terms of resource access, of course, members of National Assembly budget for the national government. We dictate even their pay in the Senate. So there is a problem there.
Wow. I belong to a different school of thought. I think when we look, all power is from the people. Exercised through the delegated institutions that are given. Different institutions have different roles. It is true, Kaluma, and you are an advocate, that the legislative mandate of the National Assembly, their scope is broader than the scope of the Senate. But when you also look at a senator represents a government. He or she represents a government. So, and when you look at representing a government and representing a constituency, the whole issue about who is senior or the other, I think for me belongs to if you know you're going to serve a certain responsibility, then perform your roles. I actually can say that the Senate was intimidated by the National Assembly, and they retreated that they are the lower house. In my view, if everybody plays their roles, actually all these issues about power, or not like now, the Constitution says very clearly, the National Assembly, the membership, 290 elected members from the constituency, and then you have the nominated, and then 47 woman representative. So all these issues of saying, oh, county MP, for me, is either, why we should celebrate the role that you have been given. So, and if you don't want, scrap it. It will actually help us reduce the
issue of senators. And I know you've just come from the devolution conference that closed yesterday in Naivasha, and most senators stayed away. I had a couple of them here, and they said they do not get along with the governors. In fact, their role at the county is no longer that clear. The last time each senator had met the county governor was over a year ago.
I think that is the height of hypocrisy. I equally come from another school of thought that at the end of the day we are representing the interests of the Mwananchi, and Mwananchi does not want to know whether you are a senator, whether you are an MCA, whether you are a governor, as long as the interests are taken care of. Secondly, I think there have been a lot of firefighting and power struggle shifting the goalposts between the senators and the governors. And actually yesterday at the DEFCON, there is a member of public from Homa Bay who actually was very blunt on the senators, and they were accusing the senators that The reason as to why quite a number of senators are now transitioning from being a senator to the governor is because of the multi-billion resources that they're going to be managing. To me, I think that is neither here or there. The fundamental thing is we should be able to be seen to be working together. Even if you're oversighting the governors, that does not give you a room to make them to be enemies.
Even you, now you want to transit from being a Speaker of the County Assembly to being a member of the National Assembly.
Yes.
Did you consider being a member of the Senate?
I was a candidate of governor. So I have tried this before in 2013. I was a strong candidate for the governor. And actually, you need to look at again I have weighed my capability and my strength.
And between Senate and the National Assembly, what drove you the National Assembly's way?
It should not be why did I want to go to the national and out for the senator. I think I have a plan for my life and my political plan.
So it is personal.
Absolutely. And again, looking at of course the function of the National Assembly, I always consider that it's more vibrant.
So it is true that the Senate
it's more vibrant,
attractive, even with regard to the job description.
No, you know, Fred, if you look at the two articles of the Constitution are referred to, Article 95 against 96. 96, of course, prescribes the role of the Senate, 95 the role of the National Assembly. There is a confusion in terms of representation. You know, the Senate represents counties as entities.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so that even this thing that you get senators going to say we are representing people in counties is nonsense.
As an entity.
It is when you are, for instance, sharing resources committed to the counties among counties that the senator should come up and say, I'm the senator for Elgeyo Marakwet. We should be getting more as against Homa Bay County for this and this reason, and the institutions which are involved should be doing the right thing in such and such a way. Now, members of parliament in the National Assembly, and I'm saying members of parliament in the National Assembly deliberately, because the title for all is member of parliament, whether you are in the Senate or National Assembly, are the ones who represent the people. And it is to that extent that I agree with what or the position we call women representatives, because if you look at their mandate by definition, they are not representing women. They are representing everybody within the territory of a county from which they are elected. It was just an affirmative action position. But they should be heard on matters of men, they should be heard on matters of persons with disabilities, they should be heard on matters of children, they should be heard on matters of women, as in all sections.
They get a vote on every issue in the National Assembly.
Yes, correct. And then the remit of legislation also. The Senate will deal with those legislations concerning the county, and if you look at it that way, the scope of those legislations is very narrow. The National Assembly can do all legislations, including legislations affecting the counties. So you don't have limitations in terms of jurisdiction.
Finally,
I still insist, if you look at the 94, the article that talks about Parliament, it says Parliament, it is the National Assembly and the Senate. In fact, actually, the media needs to drop this thing. When you're referring to Kaluma, Kaluma has two titles. He is an MP, but also an MNA. So if on issues referring on issue protecting me, I'm on the floor. Mr. Speaker. Okay, he's even
on this panel.
When it comes to referring to Honorable Kaluma, I believe what the title of the media should be using is Honorable Kaluma, MNA,
very good,
member of the National Assembly. And then you have Senator so and so. All of them bear the title MP.
Very good.
So what has happened is that because for a long time the title MP has been a recognizable title, the members of the National Assembly use that as reinforced by their extensive legislative function to intimidate the Senate. The reason I'm saying this is that Article 10.2 of the Constitution outlines the 17 national values. One of them is as devolution of power. Now, it says very clearly that it will apply to the implementation, interpretation, and development of laws and policies. Now, if you have devolution of power as a value that should define policy making, what is going to happen? You actually realize that there is no law that the Senate also cannot initiate. So if everybody takes their rightful, for me, I'm not in power. I know the power contest is different from
okay.
So next time we can have
this conversation. It is a very interesting conversation as well, because I believe because it has been the very first term of this devolved system of government, and there's so many new roles that not just the electorate, but even some of those people who are elected into those roles do not understand exactly what they're supposed to do. MCAs, members of the Senate, members of the National Assembly as well. Some of them do not understand.
Yes.
MNAs.
From the name, yeah?
You know, Fred. But because of that, 260 defines these state officers and names them. There is nothing under Article 260 called member of National Assembly. The title is one. Member of Parliament. Yes, these definitions about in which House of Parliament.
So it is the senator that should have an extra.
And in fact, if you look at Article 93 and 94, I can tell you, they talk of houses of parliament, just like in Britain. So National Assembly and Senate are just houses of parliament. But the people working there, whether in the Senate or in the National Assembly, are members of parliament. That is the same title.
Have you noticed?
I know that. We need a senator here. Okay, let's now take a look at the headlines this morning. And of course, Raila is back in circulation after that bout of illness. Is good, and we're happy with that. On the Daily Nation, wife hired us to kill her husband. Now this killer in plea bargain confesses how they strangled the headmaster. Wife planned it all and audaciously aided killers. Now she repeatedly poisoned husband to weaken him for slaughter. This is a very interesting read, and I don't want us to discuss this one for today. It has to do with a murder case, and this individual has been sentenced, I think, to 7 years in prison. Also on the front page of the Daily Nation, another KRA staff seized in hackers probe. Police yesterday picked up another Kenya Revenue Authority employee for questioning in relation to a cybercrime cartel unearthed on Wednesday. The other interesting story is on the front page. It's been highlighted on the front page of the Standard. Ouko in trouble over 100 million shilling payout. ESCC traced to his office. But in terms of what is big and what is creating quite a lot of conversation online and in other circles, it has to do with the president's temperament, especially this past week. We saw his first outburst, if I may call it that, when he was opening the devolution conference. I'm sure you were there on a speaker, and when he went off cuff from the main speech and decided to address the doctor's issue, and he got very angry. If my director could help me with this story by Sylvia Chebet, where yes, let's play that story by Sylvia Chebet, then we discuss it.
He lost his cool when he was addressing the devolution conference Tuesday.
An intern today is being offered more money than a medical practitioner working at Nairobi Hospital, Aga Khan Hospital, Mata Hospital. Kwani hii watu wanaona sisi ni wajinga namna gani? It cannot be.
Then he snapped yesterday after launching the Cash for Fodder program in Turkana, when the area leadership accused his administration of hiving Turkana's oil wealth.
Mtu akisimama hapa aseme ti Uhuru akona haja na mafuta ya wengine, ashindwe na shetani mshenzi.
Katiba inasema gawa mzuri. Sisi hapa tuna uwezo, unaweza tusaidia hiyo uwezo tuweze kusimamia pesa hii na tuweke hazina ambayo ni ya kesho na kesho kutwa. Mheshimiwa Rais, ukikamilisha hiyo utasikika hapa.
Kwa kufikiria mimi ni mtu ya kutishwa, watafute mwingine. Kura ni kura na tutakuja kuomba kama wengine. Mtupatie, mkose kutupatia. Kwani mnafikiria dunia itaisha? Wacha story mingi hapa bana.
His temperament becoming the subject of debate on social media platform. Citizen TV's Power Breakfast show sought answers.
Yes, of course we discussed this yesterday again with my panel on Power Breakfast, and it's something that continues to generate a lot of debate. The president's temperament. Yes, this is the fourth president. I understand different presidents. Now we have different individuals to compare. The first, the founding father of the nation, Mzee Jomo Kenyatta, President Daniel Arap Moi, President Mwai Kibaki, and now President Uhuru Kenyatta. And it appears to be a marked difference, at least in as far as the presidents I can remember clearly in their public statements. This past week, he's maintained a very calm demeanor for a while. Then you see all of a sudden he's getting very angry. Is it just because of the doctors, or is the campaign mood getting to him finally? Bona Speaker.
Well, it's quite regrettable what happened in DEFCON and what we witnessed in Turkana. I think I would want to borrow the words mentioned by Mr. Kirwa. Honorable Kirwa was here yesterday or the day before. I think the president is human, is likable. I mean, all of us know that he's an easy guy, somebody that you can approach. I really don't know what got into his nerve. And at this level, personally, I would have wished that when things get into this nerve, I think the best thing is, first of all, to keep cool. Because every Kenyan, the 44 million Kenyans, are watching the lips of the president. Whatever happened in Turkana, I squarely blame on the member of parliament who kept on issuing incitement against the governor of Turkana, His Excellency Nanok. Because if you watch all the things that Governor Nanok spoke, he never mentioned anything on the president. Absolutely. He even kept on referring the president as His Excellency. I mean, to me, Mheshimiwa Rais. I think the member of parliament went overboard, and maybe it could have been expected the president should not have probably responded to in that way. And even the kind of language that came, for me it's regrettable, and I believe that even the advisors of His Excellency the President should be able to, at this point in time, I believe that they are able to help His Excellency the President to be able to going forward, maybe not to do that. But again, when I looked at this, I took time to do a bit of research on the founding father of this nation, and I looked at some of the clips, and I realized that there is one or two similarities, the manner at which what's going on, and
in the anger or in the choice of words?
In both. I would say in both.
Of course, when it came to President Mwai Kibaki, whenever he used some of these words, it used to cause laughter, and it was a light moment. But when President Uhuru Kenyatta uses certain words, it doesn't sound the same. It's people don't laugh.
I think leadership is honorable. It is the position. It's the best that we can offer in our country is the office of the president. It is the highest position in public service. Is the head of state and the head of government. So when you look at the comments from the president, one thing that why we speak the way we are speaking, that we are concerned as Kenyans, is, for example, the provisions of the leadership and integrity, that the conduct of a state or a public officer ought to bring respect and esteem, and making sure that people you uphold that office in high esteem. I would, in the context of the president, how I look at it is, we've come from far as a people, because the very fact, actually, like now we are holding them into account, telling Mr. President, there you went overboard. I think it was important for you to stick to your message. Now we are no longer even discussing what you actually said in the speech during the DEFCON. We are talking about so I think The element of putting people into accounts from the head of state all the way to a messenger, for me that is a step in the right direction. And for us to discuss what do we expect of somebody who wants to occupy such offices, I think that is good because we are raising the bar high. And look at even what is happening in the US. Donald Trump, some of the comments he made, people saying they do not defeat somebody who is to serve in the stature of an office of the president. So, of course, not comparing the two, but bringing out that leadership is honorable, and then those who conduct themselves ought to have the title honorable. That's why the two gentlemen here, before their name, they are introduced as honorable.
Yes, but we do understand the president is indeed human, and every human being, yes, gets overwhelmed sometimes, because if at all it was just the one instance at the DEFCON conference, we would have probably said, okay, fine, it's just one-off. But it appears the president is just not having a very nice week. For him to have another outburst a day later, it just appears that probably there's something wrong somewhere.
Two things. The president is the head of state, is the head of government, is the symbol of unity, and most importantly, is the commander-in-chief of the defense forces. That says something about the temperament, and that is what makes this subject very important for us. The president, you know, in the recent past has been coming out as a person who is very easily irritable, very angry. You don't know what is happening. But Fred, let us be fair to President Uhuru Kenyatta and put this thing in context. He has had a lot to deal with as a president, and I think now he's being tested, and what is being confirmed to the nation in the face is that he's not fit for that office, and I think we should not buy the words around. Remember the president had the teachers' strike a short while back. No proper solution. The teachers are back to serve, but you know they are still grumbling. When that important sector, strike, ends, you have the doctors' strike, and you have the collective bargaining agreement. And if you put it in the context of the doctor's strike, you remember the corruption in the health ministry before that, and who it involved. It comes out, you are being told of a mere 5.2 billion. Of course, we know it is more, and it has been more from the time of Macharia. You know the personalities who are being named.
But are you saying all this just
are going? No.
Just came to a boiling point.
Fred, let me put it in context so that you see how we boil to the president to manifest his true personality and self, which he's been struggling to hide. I've never believed that President Uhuru Kenyatta is cool. To me, the president is the opposite person of what he shows in public, working in a very constrained constitutional environment. And my view of his coolness is a facade, is something he's using to hide the true self. The true Uhuru will be known if we make a mistake of re-electing him, when he'll not be seeking any re-election. Let me go in the sequence I was going. You have the doctors, strike, coming hot in the heels of a lot of money looted in the health ministry. Okay, and then there is a proposed increase in the salary of president, deputy president, and cabinet secretaries. You are telling doctors they cannot be paid. The doctors, in the imagination of the president, he sits back thinking the thing will solve itself. The 90th day, this thing is not sorted out. You have promised free maternity. You promised, improved medical, provision for the country. It is not working. What do? You go shouting in the manner he shouted. And then you go to Turkana. By the way, Fred, I watched the speech of Governor Nanok, and I saw the distinction, the honor, the respect with which he even started his speech, saying His Excellency the President, His Excellency the Deputy President, even his rival, Senator Munyes, even MCS, very honored. Watch the speech, not the clips as you take, and you'd question why the President jumps into those abuses of Shetani, Mshenzi, Ujinga, but it is not a new thing. You remember what happened when they were negotiating with Mudavadi, the Madimoni issue. So these things are just being hidden. And now, what I wanted to say is that if you put these things in context, I can tell you the answer is in the introduction line to your debate on this matter. The president is under a lot of pressure facing elections. Fred, you remember we came here and we were discussing, the numbers and how, you know, Jubilee is going to register 4 million and others. And I told you, but why are you talking of Jubilee registering people? The fact is that, look at those figures. The president goes to Turkana and he finds a contradictory situation. What the media is telling him that Turkana is a battleground is not so. The president is being told Kisii, Nyamira and others are battlegrounds. But so essentially the president is discovering that is the one-term president. I mentioned this, and that is why he has the boldness to tell the Turkana people, Atutatafuta kura. But is it necessary? Leave it.
But is it necessary that we must have a very calm president? What is so wrong with having a president who once in a while gets angry and shows it?
The qualifications. I think it is. If you read the letter and the spirit of one of the most or the least implemented chapter of our constitution, and that is the leadership and integrity, you realize actually one thing that Kenyan said is that anyone who chooses to serve in a position of leadership is to be held by the highest standard. Actually, it says in public and in private. What you say in public and in private, the way you conduct yourself. The temperament part is not in that.
Because temperament, how do you really control your temperament? That's affected by the environment.
And that's why I'm pointing out that Kenyans pointed out that if you want to serve in any position, now there is another narrative. If the qualifications to be a president of this country are actually not. It says that if you're a citizen of this country above the age of 18 and you qualified to serve as a member of parliament, then those are the basic qualifications for anyone to. So actually,
no, it does not. I mean, you know, Kinosov, this thing we call integrity in a leader. What is integrity? Because it's looked at as a whole. You get what I mean? So temperament and all these other virtues are in there for consideration. You cannot say you have a president who does whatever he wants, who says whatever he says, whether it is going to provoke division in the country, and you say it is cool.
But Speaker, surely a human being has to be allowed to experience certain emotions.
I think I cannot sit here and allow Kaluma of NASA to demean my party leader and my president in the manner at which he is now tying up whatever we have seen with the re-election. I think from the onset, all of us, we have the best out of us and we have the worst out of us. The issue of, and I will keep on saying that Mr. President is such a honest president. The only issue that I think should have happened is to manage the temperaments and to manage the emotions. Because going forward, and I know this is a scheme by our friends from the other wing of politics, they will continuously want to provoke the president.
Most of politics, that is going to go through a lot.
And I think the most unfortunate thing is to the people of Turkana, because I still believe as Jubilee we still want the voice of Turkana. And I think it's likely to be quite unfortunate for the president again to tell the people of Turkana.
If he got angry again at a different location,
whether you elect me or not, life will still. And I know for a fact, political rallies by NASA, I know this is a blank check for them. But I think I still want to give hope. I still want to believe that there is a lot that the Jubilee government has done in Turkana, and I believe that nobody should use this for political mileage.
And on that note, Bonakimo Sop, as we wrap up that particular discussion, what should the president necessarily go back to Turkana, because now he dismissed he said that whether you do it or not,
I think
life will still continue.
I think let's be fair. We also need to listen to the entire script of the president, and it is true that our constitution says the president serves for 5 years and then is eligible for meaning that our president can actually serve 1 term or be elected for 2 terms. And the reality of it is that if tomorrow morning, if Kenyans choose that they do not feel that Uhuru Kenyatta should be given another chance, the truth is, what the president said, life will continue.
But President Uhuru Kenyatta is seeking re-election.
Allow me to finish. Allow me to finish. That if you look at it, the entire narrative is that for him to be re-elected, he needs the vote of everyone, including those in Turkana. So he has to he actually has said in his speech that we will come back and do what? And seek those votes. And of course, when you're seeking votes, you have to conduct yourself like a bride, as a groom who is looking for a bride. That is when you put in your best behavior.
So people should expect. Fred,
yes.
you know, we are not discussing the fact that the president lied, which to me was a more serious thing. You remember the president saying that it is Parliament that legislates, his is merely to sign, forgetting that that particular revenue sharing bill which was being talked about, we had passed it in the state. The Turkana people wanted it, and the local communities where minerals, wanted it. And then the president brought this thing called a memorandum. You know, when you do a memorandum, you then need 2/3 of members of parliament to change it. He's the one who brought it back. Remember, the president is not just assenting. There is a level to which he can refer, and when he refers, parliament is handicapped in terms of changing it. So this was a legislative proposal by the president himself. And you remember, as members of opposition, we've been asking, how far should a president do when he's doing referral? And then you remember, Fred, you were saying, just send this thing back with your concerns. Don't enact a provision and bring it. But then you disable parliament with numbers in terms of your side. So the president, number one, lied. And then to me, if we were in a developed, democracy, the president would be, facing impeachment. But Fred, let us not bandy words. President Kenyatta is somebody in the mold of a dictatorship, finding himself leading a democracy. And that is the contradiction here. This thing is not these two spots you are talking about. The Ghibli members would tell you that when we have a serious thing coming up in parliament, they are called, and without even consultations, they are chaperoned and shouted at, and the president walks away. You go and do it, or we deal with it. So this is the true Uhuru Kenyatta, not that pretense of a cool man he's been hiding on. We would be mistaken as the people of Kenya to give this gentleman another
Fred,
time.
can I ask a question? I want to find out. I think Kaluma.
But we need to look at more headlines as well.
Okay, fine. Please, since you're, I wanted to ask this issue of parliament and legislative proposals from the president. I think when the president sends a memorandum, the constitution envisaged the president playing a role in the legislative process. I think what parliament should do, Kaluma, is to have a candid conversation on to what extent, for example, a bill goes through first, second and third reading, and then it is transited to the president for assent. When the president sends a memorandum, which the constitution envisages such a situation, should the bill go to third reading, or should it be referred all the way to the committee stage? Now, it's not very clear from the standing orders, and also from there is no clear statute on the same. So I think, Kaluma, maybe one of the ways...
This is a president who has killed institutions, including parliament. Let us not bandy words. This is a president that is busy killing all governance institutions we have, so that he can run, roughshod, a dictatorship over the people. It's not working for him because we have a democratic constitution.
Gentlemen, I beg that we take a look at this other headline, because in a short while we'll be required to go all the way to Siaya. My colleagues Willis Raburu and Joy Mudengi are there, and we need to know what they're up to in Siaya. But I don't want us to go there before we look at this, because it's part of the main headlines, and this is on page 9 of the Standard. NASA affiliates rule out joint primaries for seats. Only the nomination of opposition presidential candidate will be joint, says Ford Kenya leader. All the YPA said that they're not going for joint nominations.